Imagine a city with no windows, no clocks, no sunrise. A city engineered, down to the last square inch of carpet, to make you forget time exists and spend money as long as possible. Now imagine that city, this $100 billion machine in the Mojave Desert, starting to wobble. Not from drought, not from disaster, from something far more quietly devastating. People simply deciding it's not worth it anymore.
Las Vegas still gets over 40 million visitors a year. The neon still burns. The shows still run. But if you look at the numbers behind the numbers, something is shifting. Something quiet, structural, and potentially irreversible. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
The city that invented affordable excess. Here's what most people get completely backwards about Las Vegas. It was never built for the rich. It was built for the working class. The factory worker from Ohio, the teacher from Phoenix, someone who saved $200, drove across the desert, and felt for 3 days like a king. The whole economic architecture ran on one idea: make people feel like they're getting a deal, and they'll keep gambling. The room was cheap. The buffet nearly lost money. The drinks were free, because the casino was going to get you at the craps table anyway. That model worked for 7 decades. Vegas grew from a desert whistle stop into one of the fastest growing cities in American history. The core promise never changed. Come to Las Vegas and get more than you paid for. And then, almost invisibly, that promise started to break. The fee nobody asked for. It starts with a fee you didn't see coming. You find a room for $59 a night. You think, incredible. You click through, and there it is, a mandatory resort fee. $45 per night. Not optional, not negotiable. For the pool you'll use once. Wi-Fi that used to be free. A fitness center you'll absolutely never visit. Resort fees didn't exist in Las Vegas until the late 1990s. By 2019, the average was $37 a night. Today, some properties charge over $50, on top of the room rate, on top of taxes, and it's all perfectly legal. But resort fees are just the beginning. Parking, once free at virtually every strip casino, now runs up to $18 a day. The legendary $12 Vegas buffet? Gone. The Bellagio, the Mirage, MGM Grand, most closed permanently after the pandemic, or quietly became $80 premium dining experiences. Same concept, wildly different price point. The cheap buffet wasn't just cheap food, it was a message. It told every visitor, regardless of income, you belong here. You can afford to be here. When the $12 buffet became the $80 tasting menu, the message changed, and a lot of people heard it.
The numbers behind the numbers. Here's where it gets genuinely strange. When you dig into the actual data, the Nevada Gaming Control Board filings, LVCVA visitor surveys, casino earnings calls, a contradictory picture emerges. Revenue per visitor has gone up. Casino companies are extracting more money from each person who shows up, but satisfaction scores have gone down. People are telling surveys they enjoyed themselves less and are less likely to return. The average Vegas visitor now spends roughly $1,200 per trip. A decade ago, adjusted for inflation, that was closer to $900. But the share going to actual gambling dropped from over 30% to under 20%. The casinos compensated by charging more for everything else and quietly lost the thing that made the math feel worth it. And this is the trap. Vegas found a way to take more money from you without you having more fun. That works exactly once per visitor. But here's the twist nobody in those boardrooms wanted to see coming.
The competition nobody took seriously. Las Vegas has always had competition. Atlantic City was supposed to kill it in the 70s. Online gambling was supposed to migrate players off the strip. Neither worked. Vegas seemed invincible. So why does the threat feel different now? Because the competition isn't another Vegas. It's everywhere, all at once. Legal sports betting is now active in over 35 U.S. states. You don't have to fly to Nevada to gamble. You pull out your phone, and in 3 taps, you're placing bets from your couch in Columbus. The friction, the beautiful, revenue-generating friction of having to physically travel to gamble is gone. Las Vegas held a geographic monopoly on legal wagering for 70 years. That monopoly no longer exists, and the city hasn't fully reckoned with what that means. Meanwhile, Nashville figured out something important. You can build an entertainment district without casinos, without desert heat, and without charging $50 to park. Nashville now draws 16 million visitors a year. Scottsdale is pulling bachelorette trips that once went to Vegas. Smaller cities, Greenville, Asheville, Austin, are attracting leisure travelers who want an experience without the bill. Vegas used to be the only place you could do what Vegas does. Then, other places learned to approximate it. Not perfectly, but well enough, and cheaply enough.
What the city got wrong about its own visitors? Here's the generational wrinkle in all of this. Millennials and Gen Z don't gamble the way their parents did. They came to Vegas for the experience, the pool parties, the concerts, the spectacle of being somewhere enormous and alive and slightly absurd. Vegas, smartly, pivoted. The Sphere cost over $2 billion. Formula One came to the Strip. Celebrity chef restaurants, NFL games, Adele residencies. The bet was, if younger visitors won't come for the cards, they'll come for the show. And that bet seemed to be paying off. Until the concert ticket was $400. The hotel was $350 a night before fees. Dinner was $180. And suddenly, even the Instagram crowd started doing math they'd never done before. A 2023 American Tourism Survey found cost concerns were the #1 reason Americans cited for canceling or modifying planned Las Vegas trips. Ahead of safety concerns, ahead of scheduling, cost. The one thing Vegas used to be immune to. And here's what cities learn too late about perception. Once a place gets a reputation for being a bad deal, that stigma is almost impossible to shake. Atlantic City has been trying for 30 years. The rip-off reputation outlived every renovation, every reopening, every relaunch. Vegas hasn't reached that point, but it's standing closer to that edge than it wants to admit. What the desert remembers. There's an aerial photograph of Las Vegas from the early 1950s, just as the modern strip was taking shape. In it, the city is almost laughably small. A handful of lit signs, a couple of low buildings, an airstrip, and in every direction, just desert. Absolute, indifferent, ancient desert. What makes the image haunting is the scale of what wasn't there yet. Everything that was built on sand, in a place with no water and no reason to exist, except one decision, that people would come if you gave them a reason. They came. For 70 years, they kept coming. The reason they came wasn't the gambling. It wasn't even the spectacle. It was the feeling of being wanted. The magic trick of making ordinary people feel like the city was designed specifically for them, that they were getting more than they paid for, that they belonged there, that the house wanted their company, even if it was also taking their money. That was the product. And somewhere between the resort fees and the $200 nightclub cover charges and the parking meters on casino lots, that product quietly got discontinued. Las Vegas isn't dying. It won't die. It's too large, too mythologized, too woven into the American imagination. But a city can lose its soul without losing its skyline. Those headlights on the highway, cutting through the Mojave dark toward the glow on the horizon, they're still coming. The question is whether anyone in those neon towers is asking why fewer of them are turning around and coming back.